All right, good evening and welcome to Daily Report on this 26th day of December 2024. It is Boxing Day and I trust you're having a good time with your family and friends even as you continue to celebrate festivities and the Christmas mood. With us here, it's business as usual and we're here to ensure that you are up to date with everything shaping your world. Let's get the headlines. Kenya on the brink of protracted abductions.
These tragic cases represent a growing and alarming trend of enforced disappearances in our nation.
Omtata denies aiding the abduction of online cartoonist GOtv Bull, alleging that DCI officers abducted the satirist. Tonight, Judiciary condemns abductions, calling for lawful conduct from security agencies as IG Douglas Kanja denies police involvement in ongoing kidnappings. 3 dead, others nursing injuries in Nyakach, Kisumu County road accident. Also tonight,
watu wengi walifika kwenda kuokoa, kumbe stima ilikuwa live, stima ikamchoma. Na sasa tumelose kijana mmoja.
Belgut-Beirut border accident claimed the life of a middle-aged man after matatu collided with an electricity pole, killing him on the spot. All right, welcome once again to this live broadcast. Catherine Simalo is our sign language interpreter tonight. My name is Odida. Let's get started. Tonight, Busia Senator Okiya Omtata has promised to present a motion in the Senate demanding an immediate investigation on the increasing number of abductions that target people who are critical of President William Ruto's administration. Omtata, who denied aiding the abduction of cartoonist Gideon Kibet, confirmed that Kibet had visited his offices on Tuesday, December 24th, in a bid to introduce himself, castigating the rising number of forceful abductions in the country. Mike Kagwango reports.
In a bold move following a string of prolonged abductions, Busia Senator for the presidency has promised to table a motion.
All right, we apologize for that. We'll be bringing that story in due time. Tonight, Chief Justice Martha Koome has expressed concerns over the recent rise in abduction cases in the country, urging security agencies to adhere to the law as the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, deny allegations of police officers that are involved in abductions of 4 individuals abducted in the month of December 2024 across Nairobi, Embu and Kajiado counties. The police boss claiming that the allegations are aimed at tarnishing the reputation of the country's policing service. Mwege William reports.
The judiciary has issued a stern warning to security agencies and other relevant bodies, urging them to uphold the law in safeguarding the fundamental rights and freedoms of citizens. The judiciary highlighting that abductions have no place in law and are a direct threat to the rights of citizens. In a strong defense of the police for allegedly being involved in the protracted abductions, police boss Douglas Kanja maintains that the allegations are not only false, fabricated, malicious and distasteful, but also aimed at tarnishing the reputation and image of the police service. The Inspector General of Police has warned Kenyans against spreading falsehood, insisting that there is no police station in the country that is holding the reported abductees. The recent incidences of abductions, officers from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations are alleged to be involved is of a cartoonist Gideon Kibet alias GOtv Bull, with the previous one being of Peter Muteti in what is suspected he was allegedly abducted for posting an AI-generated image of President William Ruto. Billy Mwangi, reportedly taken from a barber shop in Embu under similar circumstances, and Bernard Kavuli snatched by men in masks. Kanja, however, has warned Kenyans that whereas Kenya is a democratic country that guarantees freedom of expression, freedom not only comes with certain limitations but should at all times be exercised with utmost responsibility. These happenings have raised concerns from Kenyans, with religious leaders across the country voicing their outrage over the alarming wave of abductions. Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit of the Anglican Church of Kenya described the abductions as acts of darkness, telling the government to release those believed to have been taken. Mombasa Catholic Archbishop Matthew Kivuva warning the recent happenings are bringing the country back many years before independence.
That most families are crying that their loved ones has been abducted, they don't know their whereabouts. We want to stand with them in prayer that in due course, God will reveal everything that is done in darkness in the light, and the Lord will sort us out His way.
Watoto wetu ndiye future yetu. Wale vijana wako university tukiwa wote, au wale wasichana ambao wako university na wako kwa vyuo vikuu tukiwaoa, we are now going back to where we were in 1963.
Political leaders have also weighed in on the matter. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga condemning the enforced disappearances, calling on the government to take the issue seriously.
We don't want this kind of primitive things to happen in our country. It's primitive and it's unacceptable completely.
The Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, has launched investigations into a series of alleged abductions involving members of the National Police Service. Migori, TV47.
Now, 3 people have died in a road accident that occurred this morning at Kongo in Nyakach, Kisumu County. The crash happened along the Katito Kendu Bay Road following a head-on collision between a motorcycle and a PSV matatu. 3 others sustained serious injuries and were rushed to the hospital for treatment. Police reports indicate that the motorcycle rider, who also lost his life, was carrying 4 passengers when he collided with a 14-seater matatu heading towards Homa Bay. 2 passengers on the motorcycle died instantly, along with 1 occupant of the matatu. The bodies of the deceased have been moved to Pap Onditi Sub-County Hospital mortuary, while the vehicle involved have been taken to Pap Onditi Police Station for further investigation. The accident comes as traffic police in the region intensify operations to curb drunk driving. A 16-year-old boy in Chemosit village on the border of Belgut and Beirut constituencies lost his life while trying to rescue passengers trapped in a matatu that had collided with an electricity pole. Sostin Wanji with the details. Take a look.
A somber mood has engulfed Chemosit village located on the border of Belgut and Beirut constituencies after matatu veered off the road and crashed into an electricity pole. Eyewitnesses recounted the tragic events, including Nathan Kiplagat, whose efforts to rescue those involved in the accident turned fatal when he was struck by live electricity.
Vile brake ilisha, kagonga bumps na ikakimbia hapa kando kukuja this side. Na vile ilikuja hapa ikagonga hii miti ya stima. Na ilipogonga hii miti ya stima ikahang. Vile stima ilihang, moto bado ilikuwa on. So kijana yetu mmoja mwenye alikuwa anatoka hapa upande wa Chemosit, mwenye tunaishi wote pamoja, akafika. Watu wengi walifika kwenda kuokoa, kumbe stima ilikuwa live. Stima ikamchoma.
Wakati huu kijana imekuja, mimi akateremuka chini. Kubika chini hapo, mimi naenda kwa mlango ya shule. Kubika hapo kwa shule, mimi nasikia kitu nasema pau. Kuangalia ni kari imekongwa miti ya stima.
Chemosit residents are now urging the relevant authorities to carry out regular inspections of electricity infrastructure and promptly address any faults to avoid future tragedies.
Alikuwa mfanyakazi wangu, tulikuwa na zaidiana hapa Ngoino Road tukiwasha magari.
So tuko na kilio, tunaomba waongozi waweze kutusaidia, wasituache. Si tu wakati wa kura ndio mnakuja kuomba ya kwamba tunataka kura.
According to police reports, the accident resulted from an electrical fault which ultimately claimed the life of the young man, with the bereaved family now demanding for justice for their kin. Wanji Sostin, TV47.
4 people are still receiving treatment after a 7-story building under construction collapsed in Rongo, Migori County. The injured, including a security person, was guarding the site, and the incident occurred on Wednesday, leaving the victims with serious injuries. The National Construction Authority (NCA) has revealed that the construction had been suspended earlier due to concerns over the building's structural integrity. The authority has announced plans to conduct a thorough investigation to establish the cause. Now, away from that, President William Ruto's cabinet shakeup this year, a record 3 times, allowing him to include politicians, is seen as a strategic move to mitigate his administration's declining popularity, especially in the Mount Kenya region, while building a broader coalition ahead of the 2027 general election. Apollo Kamau reports on the president's perceived salvation cabinet and whether it will achieve his main goal of taming endless public grievances after his 2-year stint in power.
President William Ruto's expanded cabinet, full of political appointees, is seen as a strategic move aimed at mitigating his declining popularity and form a broader coalition ahead of the 2027 poll. But will he manage to quell Kenyans' grievances that have dominated the better part of 2024?
What President Ruto showed this time, he is desperate for political acceptance. And maybe the way to do it is bring in people who might have some way of persuading some people to change their mind about how bad the Ruto government is.
By dropping technocrats from the cabinet in this month's reshuffle, Margaret Nyambura and Andrew Karanja, and replacing them with politicians William Kabogo and Mutahi Kagwe, who come from the Mount Kenya region, Ruto is banking on the 2 CSs, including Lee Kenyanjui, to win the Mount Kenya region.
The tide has changed. Now that bad feeling is not against Uhuru. It's against Ruto and mainly his policies. Because those policies have been believed to be anti-people, anti-mountain. So it does not matter how many people he puts in those positions.
Already 5 cabinet secretaries, Hassan Joho, Wycliffe Oparanya, John Badi, Opiyo Wandayi and Beatrice Askul, are advancing the president's agenda aimed at restoring confidence and mitigating Kenyans' anger.
Hata wakiendelea kupangia wewe ati 2027, sisi pia tuko na uwezo wa kufanya mpangilio. Sawa sawa?
Mambo ya kuangalia rais na kazi yake ni 2027. Ama kuna mtoto anafanyiwa mtihani form 1, sipaka anafika form 4. Mbona sasa miaka 2 imekuwa ni hai na tumbo joto?
Despite being strategic in his appointments, President Ruto's unpopular policies, the latest being the livestock vaccination program and vacating from his pro-poor people policies, have detached him from Kenyans. The president's political cabinet has already rubbed Kenyans the wrong way after mining CS Hassan Joho threatened Kenyans for criticizing the government.
It is an attitude thing. And Ruto sometimes surrounds himself with people who are real obnoxious. Some of the things they say increase the anger. I say, what's going on? Can't you find better people than this? Even if they are from your village.
President Ruto is walking in his predecessor's footsteps. Uhuru Kenyatta started off with a technocrat cabinet, only to appoint politicians along the way, while former President Mwai Kibaki's cabinet was mainly made up of politicians who are also technocrats. Apollo Kamau, TV47.
Now tonight, as Christmas joy and merriment continue, today was also a day of giving, with communities reaching out to the needy in the true spirit of kindness and sharing. Counties such as Lamu, Bungoma, Uasin Gishu, Kericho and Busia made a special effort to support families in need. Here's a roundup of how Kenyans celebrated Boxing Day across the country.
Just a day after Christmas celebrations, and Kenyans across the country came together in the spirit of giving, extending a hand of hope to those in need. In Langas, Uasin Gishu County, hundreds of street children found a reason to smile as a philanthropist hosted a special Christmas feast in their honor.
Niliona kama mama, uchungu ya mzazi ni mama. Tukule na hao watoto na sio leo peke yake. Ikifika wakati ya Christmas tunakulanga na hao, ama hapa New Year tunakula na hao, ama tukikuwa na kitu kidogo tunakula na hao, ama manguo tunawapea. Na sio ati niko nayo. Ile kidogo ndio tunagawa.
In Kericho County, similar scenes unfolded as children living in challenging conditions at the Bethel Children's Home in Londiani received Christmas gifts.
Napaswa kuangalia jinsi ya kusaidia watoto kama haya, hawa mayatima ambao hawana wazazi. Sisi wenyewe ndio wazazi. So siku ya leo tumeungana hapa ili tupate kusherehekea.
Meanwhile, in Busia County, a unique initiative brought together street children and inmates from Korinda Prison to a Christmas celebration.
Si kwamba ni vizuri pia tuweze kusherehekea nao Christmas. Tumewaletea vyakula na vitu mbalimbali ambavyo wanaweza kuvitumia kwa msimu huu wa Christmas, angalau nao pia wajihisi ya kwamba kule nje watu wanaposherehekea kwao kuna ambako wametoka, bila shaka kuna wale walio waacha kule nyumbani watasherehekea Christmas. Na ni vizuri pia wao wajihisi ya kwamba wako pamoja na wale ambao wako kule nje.
Sisi pia vile Mungu alitupenda, imebidi tuweze kuwapenda watu na kuwasaidia. Hao watoto ni watoto ambao wako kwenye mtaa, hawana wazazi, wanasumbuka. Tumeona leo tuwape at least kitu wakule. Tunaposherehekea watu wanapokula chakula nyumbani, mikate, wanapokula machapati na nyama, tumeona pia tuwape kitu watoto hawa waweze kufurahia.
In Lamu, over 70 individuals living with disabilities in the Hindi area were not left out. They received food aid to help them through the holiday season. Beneficiaries stated that the rising cost of living has left many families struggling to meet their basic need.
Walemavu ni wanadamu kama sisi. So kuwatenga mimi naona itakuwa ni vibaya sana. Serikali iweze kuwajali sana hawa walemavu.
Watu ambao wako na afya zao na miguu zao, uchumi imewafinyilia. Sasa imetufinyilia zaidi kuliko hao wengine. Kwa sababu sisi hakika kabisa katika hiyo hali ya uchumi imetufinyilia zaidi.
All right, thank you, Hibak Said, for that report. The Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa has led the SHA registration drive in Kakamega County, urging residents to turn out in numbers to register on the new health program. And as Violet Auma reports, Malava MP Malulu Injendi also led the registration exercise in his constituency, saying the government aims to ensure affordable and universal healthcare for all.
Today, the Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Barasa led the registration drive in Likuyani, Kakamega County, pointing out the need and benefits of residents registering on the program.
Ukijisajilisha na utoe hiyo contribution, unaleta pesa nyumbani. Unaleta pesa kwa hospitali ya nyumbani.
Ni lazima sisi kama wananchi wa Likuyani tujiandikishe, ndio hizi pesa pia zikuje kwa hospitali zetu, ndio pia sisi tuweze kufaidika na mfumo wa SHA.
Her sentiments were echoed by Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who spoke in an event in Vihiga County.
Hawa kwa kujisajili kwa Taifa Care wamefika kiwango cha 30-40%, na sisi hapa Vihiga tuko 12-13%.
Speaking at the Maragoli Cultural Day at Bale in Vihiga County, Mudavadi said that those criticizing the program don't mean well for Kenyans.
Let us register our people, because if we do not get them to register, our hospitals will miss facilities. And the hospitals in other counties will get facilities because they are registered. Kwa hivyo huu mchezo wa sisi kufikiri ni siasa tupu kila siku, tuepukane nayo.
Rigathi Gachagua, Mnamjua? Ule tulitimua. Anatembea akiambia wananchi ati hii SHA ni mbaya. Lakini ukienda kule Nyeri ndio number 1 kwa kujiandikisha SHA.
Elsewhere, hundreds of Malava residents thronged in Malava Primary School to register on the program led by the area MP Malulu Injendi.
Mimi saa hii nimechukua almost 5 minutes nilikuwa nimeshajiregister.
Naona watu wengi hapa kumba wako wameregister na ugonjwa unaweza kuangukia kila wakati wowote. Na huko nje kuna watu wanasema tukipeleka ukienda kusoma kitambulisho yako itakuwa inakupeleka wapi, unauza shamba. Hao ni walagai. Wanataka ianguke wewe umie.
The SHA manager, Kakamega County, Job Mogaya, said that despite the internet hitches, they managed to register around 500 people.
Kuna shida na network kidogo ndio ina sababu inaenda polepole, lakini tunaendelea kujikaza. Bado unaona kuna watu kwa foleni wanaendelea kuandikishwa.
This comes as some of the leaders in the country continue criticizing the plan, which they claim was rushed and is shrouded with challenges and in the long run, denying many Kenyans medical services they so much need. So far, Marsabit, Garissa, Mandera, West Pokot and Turkana hold the 5th last positions in the SHA registration, while Kirinyaga, Nyeri, Lamu, Kiambu and Bomet hold the top 5 positions in the registration. Violet Auma, TV47.
All right, thank you so much, Violet Auma, for that report. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of sports.
Sports news brought to you by Maybets.
Now, the 2024 Cleo Malala Super Cup All right, and with that, we take our very first short break at this point. Don't go too far. We're coming back with an exclusive interview with Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. Stay with us.
This December, learn about safety precautions to take into consideration this season.
If you can remember, if you drive on a motorcycle often, to make sure that you have a helmet, it's key to decreasing the severity of the accidents.
If you are passing in a bus from Kakamega to Mombasa, in between, just stand up, stretch your legs, and even when you are seated, keep pumping your feet, keep moving your feet to avoid that long stasis of blood in the veins.
Healthier options for you to maintain a balanced lifestyle amid the holiday hustle.
Eating healthy really doesn't mean that you have to deprive yourself, but we really just have to factor on how to strike a balance. Portion control and moderation are very key. Let us enjoy the season, and at the same time, let us try to watch our health and our well-being.
Happy holidays.
Hey there friends, welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Join us as we explore the journeys of those who defy the odds and break barriers. We dive deep into the stories of triumph.
Sometimes when parenting a child with a special need or whatever disability, family life becomes a bit complicated and you may end up raising the child on your own.
Here, we inspire.
I have a farm which one we showcase with other dyslexic youths and autism, how to farm.
Motivate.
It's never easy, but what we do, the best thing is to work with another parent who has an elder child than yours.
And break through the barriers one story at a time. Push your boundaries beyond the limit. Saturdays at 8 p.m. The Grind, where business meets brilliance. It's not just about the ideas.
I was working as a shampoo boy. I used to wash clients' hair on the sink.
It's about making them happen. From big wins.
In primary school, when we would be asked what people want to be, I was categorical that I want to be a nurse.
To hard lessons.
The consoles change, the gaming equipment keep changing.
We cover it all. Tune in to The Grind, where every episode is packed with insights.
The person who is serving customers, always be a customer-centric.
Strategies.
When you pay attention to detail, you get luxury items.
Dream it. Grind it. Mondays at 7:30 p.m.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Now tonight, the Christmas shift takes a break. And before we go, let's take a look at the behind-the-scenes team who've taken part in making this production a success. Take a look at what they have to say.
Mtazamaji, ni saa za kuhesabu tuvuke mwaka huu 2024 hadi mwaka 2025. Kutoka kwangu Joash Onsare, na kutakia mwaka mpya wenye heri na fanaka. Unaposherekea, kumbuka wale ambao hawana, ili tuweze sote kuwa pamoja. Merry Christmas na Happy New Year 2025.
Hello guys, this is Mwangi Elijah, technician IT support TV47. Na watakia mwaka mpya wenye fanaka na heri. Mungu awabariki sana.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to our viewers back home. I hope all you're safe till we meet the new year that is coming a few hours away to the new year. I want you all to be safe and have a blissful and a happy new year. Thank you.
Hello guys, this is Gaylord Mgonyi, producer TV47. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. 2025 kuja na blessings. Let's be kind to one another. Let's be safe. Peace out.
Hi everyone there. My name is Sam, sound engineer TV47. I want to wish you a Happy New Year 2025. Yenye baraka, God will bless, and I wish you all the best and God's blessings. Peace out.
Hi, hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Manze, now I wish you a Happy New Year. 2025, naomba mkue na baraka tele na mkue successful. Thank you so much for watching TV47. I'm Nick. Cheers.
All right, such a powerful team, if I do say so myself. And of course, there are those who are camera shy, who are not able to be here today. We have Macharia Gashuru, our head of strategy, was also taking part in making this productions a success. We have Simon Mungai, a super producer there. We also have James Mwangi, a videographer who stands there just in front of me, behind you guys. And we have James Mwangi as well. I've mentioned James Mwangi. We have Naomi on the graphical desk, the graphics design team. We have Mercy, we have Brian and the digital team. So thank you so much for staying with us from Saturday all through to today. See you in 2025 and enjoy your holidays. Now tonight, Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi has come to the defense of the Kenya Kwanza administration, emphasizing that the government is working to stabilize the nation amidst the current challenges. He assured Kenyans that efforts are underway to steady the ship and that the situation is likely to improve in the coming days, urging patience with President William Ruto's leadership. Speaking exclusively to TV47 political reporter Elizabeth Mutuku, Mudavadi stressed that delivery within the government is a collective responsibility. He slammed former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, highlighting the need for unity in achieving the government's goals. We'll leave you with this particular interview. Merry Christmas. My name is Anne Odida. Our sign language interpreter is Catherine Simaloi. Have a good night.
A very good evening. Thank you for choosing TV47. Again, this is a beautiful day and I welcome you on this special program. I'm Elizabeth Mutuku. Today we'll be refocusing on the year 2024, its ups and downs, especially when it comes to governance and government. And today we give focus to Prime Cabinet Secretary, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi. And today, away from that, we'll be giving you an opportunity also to send in your questions into 22047 as well as our social media handles. And definitely, we're going to have your feedback considered on this program. Thank you so much for giving me an opportunity.
Mutuku. Good to see you again.
To see you 2024. I've been seeing you around.
Right.
I don't know how the year has been for you.
Well, I think it has generally been a very, very busy year.
Yes.
But we are happy that we're in good health and we are putting it to closure. And hopefully we shall be rejuvenated for the year 2025.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even as we are waiting to be rejuvenated for the year 2025, I will start by asking, having served for the over 2 years, how would you say that the government, that is Kenya Kwanza government, has performed?
I think the government has done very well. You know, being in government and running a country is not a simple thing. It is usually a very, very challenging process, and it comes with a lot of challenges, a lot of ups and downs, let me put it that way. But you will recollect that when I started speaking at the very early stages, when we had been elected as a Kenya Kwanza government, I kept on indicating to the people of Kenya that it will take at least a difficult 2 to 3 years for there to start seeing the results. And people thought maybe it was a joke, all right? But for somebody who has been in public space and in government, I knew that there were a lot of issues, a lot of backlog, and a lot of challenges.
What had you seen that everyone had not seen?
Debt. I had seen the serious debt. I had seen the impact it was going to have in the kind of resources that would be available for implementation of projects. I was also looking at the global environment and could see that a lot of countries were also going through a number of challenges. We were also looking at the recovery from the COVID impact. So all these things factored, and many others. I'm just highlighting some of the critical ones.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the ravages of the climate change, an extreme drought, prolonged drought, and then sudden rains with the floods and the consequential challenges that emerged. So I was very, very specific, and also looking at the pattern of Parliament, the cycle of Parliament, and how long it takes for Parliament to legislate and clear certain bills. You know, so when you look at all that cycle, I was being very realistic.
And you believe you are vindicated?
I have been vindicated with time. And when I say that it's not easy, so we have spent the past 2 years, entering the 3rd year, doing the difficult things. All right? Doing the difficult things, not the easy ones, the difficult ones. For instance, when you had to walk away from fuel subsidies, that's not a joke. Because the fuel subsidies were giving the impression, a false impression, that the price of fuel is okay. But we knew that the hemorrhage was serious. So one of the first and most difficult decisions, and painful ones, that the government had to make was to walk away from the fuel subsidies. Okay? And it had a consequential impact on certain things. But now this has stabilized, as an example.
These are some of the things you knew in the back of your head.
Correct.
Did majority in the government understand what you had seen before?
Some did. The president for sure did understand. And some of my colleagues may have understood. But to be fair, also a fair number did not understand. And that is why initially we had quite a number of them speaking very, very loosely, that they would be able to do so much within a certain time frame. But in reality now, they've come to realize it's a process, the budgetary process and so forth, and ensuring that you have the right legal framework and the resources are very, very critical issues that we need to always bear in mind when you're talking about government. So the difficult decisions are being made. For instance...
Are you implying that we are headed to a space where Kenyans will feel the impact much more?
Oh, yes. It will start getting better. Let me give you an example. The initial din, or if I may use it, the noise around housing levy, for example, it was so intense, all right? But when you look at all the competing parties in the last general election, they all acknowledge that housing is a problem. But the question is, there's that famous thing then, so who will bail the cat? Okay, so the Kenya Kwanza government now became the one to bail the cat. And it required taking a major decision to legally put in place the housing levy. Now, all it takes is that it's for people to give it now the gestation period. Because Parliament, the court processes, and what have you, it dragged on for some time. But today, if you go to Kibera, you can see what is beginning to emerge. The renewal in that area. If you go to Mukuru, you'll start seeing houses that are being built. And there are several that are going on around the country. So we are going to start turning the face where people will be receiving the keys to these houses.
You speak of Kenya Kwanza government doing well for the last 2 years, but also there is the question of litigation process and some of these bills finding themselves in courts, including some of the challenges with CBC, SHA, among other matters which are so weighty and key issues in the country. And one will be left wondering, where is Kenya Kwanza government getting it wrong when it comes to ensuring that Mwananchi understands each and every process?
By the way, do you know when CBC started?
I know 2017.
2017?
Yeah.
So how long had it gone?
Only 2 to 3 years.
Okay, we are now in the 7th year, all right? So the CBC was a process, which was a position taken by that government. And education is so central and so dear to the children, to every family. So when you're entering into a new educational system, there are teething problems. There are challenges about the funding, about the curricula, you name it, okay? And it takes a bit of time to mature. So when I say teething problems and challenges, we have been going through them, all right? You see, in the campaign, there were people who were taking a simplistic position and saying, let's just go and scrap
the whole program
and the CBC, because they were scared of confronting the journey, the issues that are required. Now, that is not leadership. That was a shortcut. That was populism. All right? So Kenya Kwanza as a government, in my view, if I give an example, has decided to do away with populism, but to do what is right. Okay? So we are focused on doing what is right, so that we can have the good results. Okay?
It's a year.
And I could give you the same in health. The health program. Everybody wants universal health care. It's a process. It's not an overnight affair. All right? If I refer you a little bit to the Obama care, when he started it, what was the debate around Obamacare in the United States? Doesn't it mirror what we have been going through? You know, doubting Thomases, saboteurs along the way, and so forth. So you have different challenges, but you have to continue persisting.
From where you're seated, can you say that the government communicated rightly on the issue of SHA, even Adani, CBC, funding model, among others?
Let us go sectoral. All right? I'm not running away from the Adani question. Let that come separately. But don't mix it. Don't mix it with the health and mix it with the housing, because then we mislead people. All right? That is part of the aspect that is wrong in communication. The focus is, what are we saying about housing? All right? And what are we achieving? What are we saying about health? And in health, for instance, as I give the example, we are now at 16 million registered people on the Taifa Care program. If you go to the statistics and you ask yourself, for all the years that we are there, how many people had been registered on NHIF? It is 50% of the figure that we are talking about. So we have achieved a higher number of people who are now on the list of Taifa Care to receive universal health care. So it's a major step ahead. And we are growing. The numbers are growing in every county, and we want to talk about it. And remember, we were dealt with litigation. We have dealt with misrepresentation in Parliament and so forth. And we are moving. Now, one thing that I would say the Fourth Estate has never wanted to bring out is, how do you explain a hospital in Kijabe under the NHIF program recording that it has done more operations, or it does more operations than Jomo Kenyatta, than Kenyatta National Hospital? How do you explain that?
That means that
how do you explain
their system is working.
Which system is working?
Probably the equipment.
So you would say,
and that is where also
no. So would you say that what you're saying is that all these hospitals that were saying that they were mushrooming all over the place, the ones that were literally living off NHIF, you good people in the media, you know some of the very huge beneficiaries of NHIF. And when the plug was pulled out of them, some of them have collapsed. Because we had a situation where somebody has more accountants than doctors. Because they are manipulating the paperwork so that they can draw from NHIF.
That is what the government is seeking to cure.
That is what we are seeking to cure through the whole process of transiting them, and also making sure that we digitize better so that people can benefit. So it is that transition that we may be going through now. But I can tell you that there's a lot of light at the end of the tunnel.
I know also it's a year where we experienced Mandamano for the longest time. And what really happened on 25th of June this year, the invasion in Parliament and the resistance which came with Gen Z calling for accountability. How do you speak of this?
It was an experience. We shall always defend their right to speak and to protest, no doubt about it. It's enshrined in the Constitution. It is perfectly in order for Kenyans to express themselves. So that is guaranteed, and we have no intention of tampering with that. But we must also look at the flip side. The flip side is that you do not go and invade institutions that represent democracy. You don't go and destroy your parliament. You don't go and destroy your judiciary. It's wrong. Okay, because those are the very institutions they are talking about. The very institutions that you want to defend. And when you say we want freedom of speech, we want freedom, which institutions guarantee that freedom for you?
It's the same institution. However, from their point of view, they had no confidence with the same institutions.
But they voted. Only 1.5 years ago they voted. Secondly, they deliberately said they didn't want to dialogue. They were leaderless, they were rudderless. All they wanted was a president to engage them on X, which he did. Historic. Which other president on the continent has engaged his citizens on that?
None of African presidents.
Yes, and how much of it was also artificial intelligence generated? There are a lot of questions that we have to answer. And I came across, I was going to Namibia, and I came across some 3 young people who were on the same flight, Kenyans, going for a conference in Namibia, sponsored by GIZ, German, the German entity. And they told me that they regret because what they started was hijacked. They didn't realize that they had become pawns in a game that belongs to other people. All right? But they had some valid issues. Initially, when they raised the issues about, they felt the taxation maybe needed to be looked at afresh. They wanted more proactive and visible action against corruption. They wanted to see more jobs being created. These were valid reasons. And they should not stop in articulating those reasons.
Their greatest call was on corruption, opulence, and taxation because of the Finance Bill 2024. How do you rate the government when it comes to handling the matters which they raised?
The government has tried, and it continues to try. It is not a walk in the park, because you must remember, government has only two sources of revenue to finance its programs. One is taxation, and the other is debt. These are the primary sources of government to be able to meet its obligations. So Kenya has been choking on debt. If you are sitting where I am, how would you want to deal with the debt? Nobody will write your debt away. Nobody will forgive you for your debt. No. The honor of any nation lies in it meeting its obligation. The moment you become a state that does not meet its obligation, you are in trouble.
And therefore, you say that taxation raised.
So taxation is one way. That is the way to raise revenue. The other side is now to balance between the exchequer and also what would be debt. We have to strike a proper balance. And this is what Kenya is doing. This is what the Kenya Kwanza is doing.
You are the only man who was left standing then after President William Ruto dismissed the cabinet. And I'm left wondering how the experience was for you then, and why do you think you are the only man who was standing there?
Well, first of all, I think it's good to acknowledge that it was a difficult decision for the president to make. It was not easy, and I can say that I was there because I think the president felt I have the requisite experience and the background to be supportive to him during that extreme moment of tension in the Republic. And because I had served in various public offices, I was able to fit into understanding what would be the roles that I would be able to guide the principal secretaries on during that transition period until he reappoints his new cabinet. Yes.
And that is why you think you are the only person standing?
I think that's the most logical.
How dark was it during that moment? Because Kenyans would want to hear. How did you work within that period?
Well,
with the president?
It's one of a kind. You know, for you to act as a minister in virtually all portfolios is not easy. But we are consulting very regularly. And the president also knew that I would know what to focus on during that period. So that you focus on critical policy areas to guide the principal secretaries on how to proceed until substantive ministers have been appointed.
After President William Ruto engaged Kenyans and young people on X, do you think he put really into consideration, or rather he listened to what they wanted really?
I think he did. Remember, it was an emotional moment. The initial stages, the young people on X did not want to listen. And not all of them were young, I can tell you. There were others who were there. I know of characters who are friends of ours, who had our numbers, and in total disregard of the privacy required in our laws, the whole requirements around the data, privacy and so forth. These guys were throwing our numbers there and saying that let these people be hounded.
How do you think of it? Ulisalimiwa?
Nilisalimiwa. Nilisalimiwa. Okay, so those, but on hindsight it looks okay. But it is, isn't it mob justice, or isn't it mob injustice? You know, it may have looked fashionable, but it shows a sense of irresponsibility on some of the people who are doing what they were doing. You know, because now we are looking at it. But the president understood. He talked to them. He had to exercise patience. These are young people. They had to come round systematically. But they suffered because some of them also realized that the sword was cutting both ways. I have examples of people even within my office who people known to them, and some maybe even their children, they were in the streets. But when they went back to Kitengela and they went back to the estates, they realized that their own homes had been vandalized. You know, so you think it is easy because it looks like it's with the other person. But when you get back home, you realize that this thing is there. The late Anyona used to say that things like corruption are like a hydra. When you cut off one head here, you realize that there's another snake that has another head that has reared itself on the other side. So in this thing, which is violence, and the whole sense of impunity and what have you, it's not a good space to be in.
President William Ruto, at some point in a press conference in State House, he said it was a coup. From where you're seated, do you think it was politically instigated for those young people to go to the extent which they did?
Yes. Yes. Because in all the times that we've had Maandamano, even talk about the Maandamano earlier, because this was around getting closer to June. But earlier there had been Maandamano. Did they invade Parliament?
No.
They never invaded Parliament. In all the years we have had demonstrations, has Parliament ever been invaded? Even at the peak of perhaps the worst crisis we ever had, that is after the 2007-2008 elections, before the formation of the Grand Coalition government, Parliament was never invaded. All right? So this was a different situation.
Which, from where you're seated, you think someone or
somebody was trying to propel the wrong thing.
This moment, you were left with President William Ruto, among other leaders, helping him in running the government. I understand, or rather word has it, that the relationship between himself and the then deputy president was not something we can say it wasn't a good relationship.
I think that is now water under the bridge.
Still,
because Parliament made its decision. It exercised its constitutional right, and they dealt with the concerns that were there. So now we are talking about going beyond there.
Remember, we are reflecting as well in the year 2024, and you are in the play, and you continue to be in the play.
I think the most important thing, the most important lesson is this: if you go into government, you must understand what collective responsibility is. And if you're not ready to subscribe to collective responsibility, the honorable thing is to resign. But you cannot have your cake and eat it. And I think this is the lesson that Kenyans ought to learn from the episode that happened.
From where you're seated, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua keeps on saying that he warned, he spoke, he advised, and he was a truthful man in this government, or else no one took his advice.
You know, sometimes you wonder, because who chaired the committees of cabinet? Forget the substantive cabinet, but the committees of cabinet. Who was the chair? So where was the finance bill discussed? Where were all these other bills discussed? Yeah. So I think sometimes we should use our words very carefully.
Do you think President William Ruto and the new deputy president, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, will be able to control Mlima Kenya?
Why are you doubting? Why don't you give them the why don't you give them the benefit of doubt?
It's your word which I want to hear, and Kenyans are waiting to hear.
I believe that that is okay. They'll work well.
There is the question of abductions and killings, which also culminated from the Gen Z protest to where we are today. Do you think this was handled properly? And Kenyans also from then some have been crying of their missing kin.
There'll be proper investigations, and the investigations continue where necessary. Some of these issues, and I'm familiarizing myself with, some may be exaggerated in certain instances. Others, there could be a breach of or a transgression of the law. But we have institutions like the Independent Policing Authority, IPOA. A very credible person has been appointed as the chairman. You know him, the lawyer,
yes,
the former chair of IBC.
Yes.
And he will have an opportunity to delve into these areas. And where culpability is found, after a due process, then I'm sure they will make the appropriate recommendations and action will be taken.
We wish them the very best, and Kenyans are waiting for solutions. We are in the broad-based government.
That is Isaac.
Yes, Isaac.
Yeah.
We are in the broad-based government. And one will be left wondering, is this another handshake?
It's a broad-based government, and I think the president was sending a very strong signal. We go through an election, and after an election, he is President of the Republic of Kenya. He's the symbol of unity for those who voted for him and who did not vote for him. And the challenges we are facing, some of which I have highlighted, the debt, the need to restore the economy, the consequences of drought and what happened, the need to rally the people behind proper attention to deal with health, education, and it requires broader consensus. Okay? So whether you want to call it a handshake or whatever, it's up to you. Those are semantics. But what is significant is that it is important that the president talks to all the citizens of Kenya. And I would encourage him to continue talking to them.
With the broad-based government in place, do you think also we're going then to have opposition, especially from Parliament?
No party has been told to, forced into disintegration or closure. If there's any wish to alter the party structure, it has to be done constitutionally, and the Political Parties Act allows for that. But in this broad-based government, even as we speak, ODM, for instance, says they'll remain ODM. But there are other they're focusing on issues that they think we can collaborate together. And what is wrong with that?
Going forward, also on the question of IEBC, some Kenyans somewhere in some constituencies, over close to 1 year and a half, they are operating without their substantive leaders because we lack IEBC. What do you think should be done from where you're seated? Because already we know the president has the power.
It's really unfortunate that it has taken that long, but I think there's progress now, because first there was the NADCO conversation, which brought some understanding and harmony. That consultation, Parliament has now made the necessary adjustments on the IEBC Act based on that understanding. And we look forward to the process moving to the next level. But remember also court cases. Yes. Remember there were court cases obstructing.
The opposition continues to...
But we are now overcoming that, and we look forward to a situation where there will be representation.
There is a deal.
But one positive thing about our budgeting is that in terms of certain resource allocations and so forth, the constituencies will not lose, per se. They may lose direct representation, but if there's a CDF, it's dedicated to that, to that constituency and so forth.
So the assurance to Kenyans going forward,
Yes,
and especially in the new year.
The issue is the delay in getting a replacement of their representation, but we hope that we'll correct that. And it is important that we sort out the remaining issues around IBC so that by the time we get to 2027, which is 3 years away, election time, at least we'll have dealt with that space.
We had the Catholic bishops come out strongly and the clergy at large, though I know President also met them in regards to matters corruption and also economy. But today, as we speak, the relationship between the government and the church doesn't seem to be a good relationship. What do you speak of this?
I don't think we are enemies, per se, at all. And criticism or voicing different concerns from time to time is quite in order. What I would suggest is that continuous dialogue is important. Even as challenges are there, the president continues to engage with the church leadership on different issues. And moving forward, I'm sure you'll see that this is not a new phenomena in Kenya's politics. We have had seasons when the relationship between the state and the church would appear as if it's frosty, but after a while they move on quite positively. Whether you're talking from the era of Kenyatta, Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru, and now
during protests, Gen Z protests, one of the key issues which President William Ruto highlighted was on Harambes, and we seem to be getting there closer each and every day. We seem to be going back to Harambes, and I don't know what you think should be done on the question of Harambes and the contributions, because Kenyans feel that they don't match.
Ultimately, a thriving economy is our solution. Why do you think we are trying to broaden the issue of universal health care? We are trying to broaden this and get it there through the initiative of the taxpayers, so that you and I will stop receiving the messages about Harambee for health or for other activities. And let's also be fair. Let's just give an example. If you do the analysis, frankly speaking, how many Harambees do you hear lately of school fees?
They are decreasing by number.
Why?
Because I believe there are stretches.
Yeah? They are decreasing because the government has been quite consistent on its allocation in education. The capitation of the students is much better.
Yes.
You have the bursary schemes that are coming in. Of course, some areas people are still crafty and not doing it fairly, but systematically changes are coming in, and that is why we are seeing less and less of that. Okay? And if we do it well, and we fight corruption and we fight all other things, even these other sectors that we would still be seeing can eventually be smoothened out, and the Harambee
matter will be behind this.
But as things stand, It is very difficult just to assume that it does not exist. As much as there was criticism from the church in some areas that they don't want a donation from a politician. One thing is done publicly, but
there are many other which are done silently.
There are so many other appeals that come for you to support the same church.
I saw the issue.
So it's a very complex thing. Yeah.
Because I know my time is up.
Yes.
We all saw the Ishaweri
Yes.
meeting, that is President William Ruto and former President Uhuru Kenyatta. Are we likely to see more people onboarded in the Kenya Kwanza government?
I think let's take a step at a time. One of the most important things is that there's a conversation, and I think it's healthy for a country when the heads of states, both the one in situ and the one who is out, can have a conversation. It helps. It helps the country. You know, for instance, let me give you an example. Take the United States. The tension that was there, but not too long ago, Biden was meeting with Trump in White House, and it is the same Trump who didn't want to hand over to Biden. But Biden has taken it differently, and he decided to meet him, and they talked to him.
I would do my viewers injustice if I will not ask of the AUC seat and the prospects now that you are the Cabinet Secretary of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora.
The prospects are very good.
Do we look like Kenya?
I mean, let me ask you. Did you watch the debate?
Yes, I did, and I listened carefully.
Let me ask you one question.
Yes. Although I'm the one who is supposed to be asking questions.
Didn't our candidate do good?
We did well.
Yeah, there you are.
But
so this is it. We have a good chance. Okay, and I must commend Raila. He did a very good job, and he's been campaigning. And even in the next few days, I think he's going towards Central Africa again and other parts. And early in the year, he's likely to go to maybe Southern Africa and so forth. So he's doing the right thing. But let me tell you, I also get shocked when I see some Kenyans, first of all, who do not see the sense and the pride in having a Kenyan at such a high position, still undermining one of their own nationals.
It is shocking.
It's
but one would ask, why is it that they don't want him there?
I mean, that's the whole contradiction. I'm yet to see any logical reason why a Kenyan would not want another Kenyan to take up a high position on behalf of the African continent. If it is another country looking for the Secretary General of say, the UN or Secretary General of the Commonwealth, for instance, Ghana was campaigning, and the Ghana Foreign Minister is going to be the next Secretary General.
Probably leader, they feel safer for Raila when he's here, probably in the opposition.
Then that is a selfish motive.
I don't know whether they are selfish, but I know...
No, that becomes a selfish motive, because you are then looking at him as...
your tool.
As your tool for your local politics. But you're not looking at it from the perspective that what about him as an individual, or what about him on behalf of Africa?
We wish him the very best, because we want him prospering for the sake of our nation also, because when he's representing Kenya, it's us,
absolutely,
not him. Two things to expect from Kenya Kwanza government in the new year. I close there.
You're going to see further movement in the issue of affordable housing. You're going to see more aggressive campaign to roll out the universal health care. You're going to see enhanced steps to make sure that we digitize the e-platform. We digitize our economy much better, so that we can fill pilferage and corruption. And then we are going to have also debates, because we must now look at how else to continue financing our infrastructure.
I am looking forward to seeing you in the new year, because I believe I'll get an opportunity to ask where we are in terms of the issues you've addressed today and the promises you've made. Thank you so much for watching TV47. Of course, that has been a great interview with His Excellency Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, and I really hope in the new year the government is going to live its promise according to its promises.
Well, let me also just wish the Kenyans a Merry Christmas and a prosperous 2025.
Thank you so much. And actually, 24th is my birthday. Thank you
24th
of this year.
Oh, December.
Yes.
Oh, congratulations, and I wish you a very good birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for watching TV47. That has been a beautiful program with His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi, the Prime Cabinet Secretary. Of course, we'll be hearing from other leaders. Keep it TV47. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.